Imagine this. You're 17, school's behind you, the future's unknown, and for the first time in your life, the road is yours. No bells, no schedules, just open freeway, endless playlists, and the lie that you're in control. It's freedom, until it isn't. That's what they don't tell you. They don't say that sometimes the wrong exit leads you to something you were never meant to see. They don't mention how easily a celebration can become a disappearance, or how your last high school memory might be someone else's secret, buried beneath gravel, asphalt, and silence. We were just 4 kids, fresh out of graduation, thinking we'd earned the world. It was the summer of 2016, and I still remember the way the air smelled like burnt pavement and sunscreen. We were headed from Orange County to Big Sur, a classic California road trip, the kind you plan for months, Spotify playlists, Insta-worthy stops, a trunk packed with snacks and sleeping bags. My name's Leo. I was the one who came up with the trip. With me were my best friends, Miles, Kayla, and Reese. All of us had known each other since middle school. We'd been through breakups, AP tests, and prom drama together. But this was supposed to be our send-off before life split us up across the country. The plan was simple: 2 nights camping near Pfeiffer Beach, 1 night in San Francisco, and then a lazy drive back down the coast. No hotels, no schedules, just a tent, the ocean, and the road. Everything started perfectly. We left early to beat LA traffic, stopped at Pismo Beach for lunch, and even ran into another group of seniors we knew at a gas station in Carmel. Everyone was high on adrenaline and Red Bull, windows down, music blasting. We felt untouchable. But around sunset, somewhere just past Lucia, we missed our exit. It should have been a quick detour, maybe 20 minutes max, but our GPS started glitching, like freezing, rerouting, then saying we were still on I-5 even though we were surrounded by redwoods. Reese, who was driving, laughed it off. Kayla joked that we were probably cursed for skipping graduation rehearsal. Miles and I were in the back, half asleep, half scrolling through stories. That's when we saw it, an old wooden sign on the side of the road, faded, splintered. Private property, no trespassing, dead end. But just before it, a small dirt road peeled off from the highway, the kind of road that looks like it leads to something secret. And I swear to you, there were tire tracks, fresh ones. We all felt it. That weird tension in your chest when something's off, but no one says it. When the vibe shifts from freedom to fragility, and you start to realize that the world doesn't owe you safety. Reese slowed down. "Should I take it?" he asked, half smiling, like he was testing fate. I remember Kayla reaching forward, hand hovering over the dash. "Let's not, just turn around. GPS will fix itself." But Miles leaned forward too. "Come on, it's a cool detour. It's still light out." We were split, 2 for yes, 2 for no. So naturally, Reese made the call himself. We turned. The dirt road curved down through the trees like a snake. Dust rose behind us. The sun dipped lower, painting the forest gold. For a few minutes, it was beautiful, ethereal even. No cell signal, no other cars, just the 4 of us and the road curling deeper into nowhere. Then the trees got denser. The air got colder. And up ahead was a car, parked sideways, black, dusty, no plates. It was blocking the path. Reese slowed to a crawl. The headlights caught the shape of the vehicle, something boxy, maybe an old Jeep or a Trailblazer. The windows were tinted so dark we couldn't see inside. There were no lights, no movement, just the shape of a vehicle deliberately positioned to keep us from going further. We all went quiet. Kayla's voice was the first to break it. "Okay, this is weird. Let's back up." Reese didn't respond. I could see the tension in his jaw, his knuckles whitening on the wheel. Miles leaned forward, squinting through the windshield. Then, just for a moment, the car in front of us rocked, like someone had shifted their weight inside it. That was the moment I stopped feeling brave. Reese threw it in reverse. The tires kicked up dirt as we backed up the path. The silence in the car was so heavy it hurt. No one said a word until we hit the main road again. And even then, we didn't see the other vehicle turn around. We just saw it disappear. We didn't talk for a while after that. I don't mean we were mad, I mean we were afraid, like something fragile had cracked between us and none of us wanted to admit it. The sky turned fully dark as we made our way back onto the main road. There were no streetlights out there, just the faint glow of Reese's high beams and the occasional glint of animal eyes deep in the woods. Kayla finally broke the silence. I know this sounds stupid, but that car didn't have plates, right? I nodded. So did Miles, even Reese. No front, no back, I added. It looked like it had been sitting there for a while, but it moved. That was the part that kept looping in my head. That tiny rock of the suspension, that subtle weight shift that said someone, or something, was still inside. We tried to laugh it off, but the energy in the car never fully bounced back. We reached our intended campsite an hour later. It was a small, semi-remote clearing near Pfeiffer Beach, one of those spots you can only reserve by email through some sketchy local site. We were technically not supposed to be there, but a lot of people use it as a free overnight pull-in. No ranger station, no neighbors, just forest and fog. Exactly what we wanted, until we got it. We set up camp mostly in silence. Kayla handled the tent, Reese started the fire, Miles took the food bag to hang it between trees in case of bears. I wandered toward the edge of the campsite to take a leak and clear my head. That's when I heard it. The sound of gravel crunching, not near me, not in camp, somewhere off in the trees, maybe 30 feet out. Slow, deliberate steps, not animal-like, just wrong. I held my breath and listened harder. Then it stopped. I waited another minute, frozen, before backing toward the firelight. The others were sitting around the flames, talking about what just happened like it was already a distant story. Reese looked up. Everything good? I nodded, even though it wasn't. We ate, we drank, we made dumb jokes. Miles passed around a blunt, and the tension started to ease. For a moment, it really felt like a normal road trip again. But I couldn't get that sound out of my head. That night, I barely slept. I kept imagining the black SUV, the rocking motion, the sound in the woods. I woke up 3 separate times thinking I'd heard something outside the tent. The third time, I checked the time on my phone, 3:42 a.m. Reese was snoring next to me. Kayla and Miles were zipped up in the second tent. Everything was still. I decided to get some air. I slipped out of the tent quietly, not wanting to wake anyone. The fire had died to embers. The air was wet and cold. I stood by the edge of the camp, watching the trees sway slightly in the wind. And that's when I saw it. 2 faint red dots. Far away, maybe 20, 30 yards through the trees. At first I thought they were brake lights, like someone's taillights were visible through the branches, but they weren't moving, and they were low to the ground. Then they blinked out, both at once. And I swear I heard a car door close, muffled by distance. I stood frozen for I don't know how long before walking backwards into camp and crawling straight back into the tent. The next morning, I told Reese what I'd seen. He looked spooked but tried to rationalize it. Could have been tail lights, reflections from someone on Highway 1. You said you were half asleep. I didn't argue, but I knew what I saw. We broke camp by 9 a.m., trying to stay on schedule. We had planned to drive up to San Francisco that day and stay at a friend's place near Mission District. But as we packed the car, Miles called out from behind a tree. "Hey, did one of you guys leave this?" We turned and walked over. On the tree where he tied the food bag the night before was a plastic zip tie, bright orange, snapped in half. Not ours. Kayla frowned. That wasn't their last night. Miles shook his head. I tied the bag with a paracord. I didn't use this. I picked it up. It was fresh, not weathered, no dust on it, the kind of zip tie you'd use for, I don't know, holding a trunk shut, securing a fence, or maybe restraining something. Reese looked at me, then at the trees. And for the first time in our friendship, he whispered, "Let's just get the hell out of here." We piled into the car and drove without stopping. No music, no jokes. That stretch of highway felt longer than I remembered. And then, halfway up Highway 1, Kayla gasped. We all turned. A black SUV passed us, same size, same shape, windows tinted darker than legal, no plates, It didn't slow down, didn't change lanes, just glided past like it had never seen us. But as it pulled ahead, I saw it. A piece of bright orange plastic caught in the wiper blade. That was the moment we stopped pretending. Something wasn't right, something had followed us. And worst of all, it knew we had noticed.
We reached San Francisco just after 2 p.m. The city felt like another world: concrete, noise, safety. We parked near Dolores Park and met up with Nick, a friend from middle school who was crashing at his cousin's place near the Mission. He was one of those laid-back city kids, skateboard in hand, hoodie half-zipped in 70-degree weather. Nick greeted us like it was summer camp. "Damn, look at you all, fresh graduates. How's freedom feel?" Reese faked a smile. Kayla laughed a little too loud. I didn't say much. Even as we walked through the park, surrounded by people, street vendors, and the smell of weed and hot dogs, I couldn't shake the sensation that we'd brought something with us, like whatever had stalked us through Big Sur had slipped into the back seat and stayed quiet the whole way up. That night, Nick threw a get-together at the apartment. Loud music, random people. I should have relaxed, should have let the city noise wash over the rural silence still echoing in my head. But around 10:30 p.m., I stepped out onto the fire escape for air and froze. Down on the street, parked directly across from the apartment, was a black SUV. No lights, no motion, just sitting there, engine silent. I squinted, trying to see the plates. The angle was bad, but I could tell one thing for sure. The front bumper had a tear in the plastic, a rip I'd seen before, back when the car passed us on Highway 1. I called Reese out, quietly. He joined me on the fire escape, looked down, and didn't say a word for almost a full minute. Then, "Let's not freak anyone out," he said. "Let's just get through the night." But when we left the party to grab snacks at a corner store down on 24th Street, we both checked again. The car was gone. We debated telling the others. Kayla and Miles were laughing in the living room, sipping tequila like nothing happened, and for once, I wanted to believe it was nothing. We left San Francisco the next morning, headed toward Half Moon Bay for a final beach stop before heading home. The sky was low and gray, marine layer heavy over the coast. We stopped for gas near Pacifica, some little shell station off Cabrillo Highway. As I filled up the tank, Kayla stepped out to use the restroom. Miles went inside for coffee. Reese stood next to me, staring at the pumps like he was thinking about something he didn't want to say. Then he finally spoke. "I didn't tell you something," he said quietly. "I didn't move." "What?" "That night, at the camp. I woke up too." He rubbed his face, avoided eye contact. "I woke up and saw someone walk between the trees, not far, just past your tent." I turned toward him. "I thought it was you, or Miles taking a piss or something, but they were too tall, taller than you, just moving real slow. I didn't even hear the footsteps, just saw the shadow glide past." "Why didn't you say anything?" I asked. "I didn't want it to be real," he said, "but now I think it followed us." Before I could respond, Kayla returned, pale, shaken. She looked at both of us and whispered, "There's someone in the bathroom, watching me. I think they were waiting." We didn't ask more. We just got in the car and left, fast. We hit Santa Cruz around midday and tried to play it cool, walked down the pier, bought funnel cake, even rode the sky glider across the boardwalk. But the mood had changed. Every crowd felt off, every shadow had weight. And then, in the parking lot near the beach, we saw it again. The black SUV, 2 rows back, driver's seat empty. This time we checked for plates. There weren't any, again. We left Santa Cruz without another word, skipping lunch. By the time we hit Monterey, it was late afternoon, and the fog had returned. Reese was visibly exhausted. I offered to drive, and he didn't argue. As we passed through Marina on Highway 1, Kayla suddenly sat up in the back seat. "Wait, look behind us." I checked the rear view. It was there. Far back, but there, gliding between cars, smooth, purposeful. It wasn't aggressive. It didn't tailgate, didn't flash headlights, but it followed. For 45 minutes, until we reached a crowded junction near Salinas and lost it in traffic. We tried to stay rational. Could have been a coincidence, could have been paranoia. But when we pulled into a gas station outside of Paso Robles, we made a decision. We took Reese's license plate off and memorized it. Then we walked around the store, looking at every vehicle in the lot. There were 3 SUVs, only one had no plates. But now it was white. Not black. I can't explain that part. Same size, same make, same scratch on the bumper. Same small orange zip tie hanging from the rearview mirror. We stared through the window, tinted dark, as always. Then, suddenly, the driver's door opened. No one was inside. We bolted. We got back in the car and drove straight through to LA, no more stops. And all the way down I-5. Every time we passed another SUV, we couldn't help but wonder, was it them? Or was this thing not a person anymore, but a symbol, something stitched into the highway itself, feeding on kids like us who thought they were free?
By the time we crossed into Los Angeles County, the adrenaline had worn off, but the dread hadn't. Our final stop was a rented Airbnb in a quiet Pasadena suburb. Kayla's cousin had booked it for us as a graduation gift. It was clean, well lit, and tucked in a cul-de-sac just off a sleepy residential street. We arrived late, close to midnight, and everything felt too still. We told ourselves we were safe now. We were back in civilization, cameras on every porch, neighbors just feet away. But that's the thing about safety. It's a story you tell yourself to sleep at night. We didn't unpack. We barely spoke. Kayla curled up on the living room couch while Miles and Reese dropped onto the pullout in the guest room. I took the floor with a blanket, but I didn't close my eyes. Around 2 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. The hallway lights were off, but a faint glow bled in from the porch through the blinds. I moved quietly, not wanting to wake anyone. As I passed the front door, I glanced through the peephole. Reflex, I guess. What I saw made my stomach tighten. A man stood at the edge of the yard. Just stood there, on the sidewalk, facing the house. No phone, no dog, no movement, just still, like a statue. I stepped back, heart pounding, unsure what to do. I didn't recognize the face, just pale skin, a thin beard, and a windbreaker pulled tight. His eyes didn't seem to blink. I waited. Eventually, I looked again. He was gone. The next morning, I told Reese. He didn't react like I expected. No jokes, no questions. He said, "That guy? I think he followed me into the liquor store yesterday, back in Monterey." My blood ran cold. "You didn't say anything." Reese shrugged. I wasn't sure. He didn't buy anything, just walked in, stood by the wall, and stared. When I left, he left. We checked the Ring camera on the porch, standard for most Airbnb houses, but when we opened the app, it showed no recordings from the night before. Nothing. I tapped through the settings. Motion detection, OFF. Someone had disabled it. We spent the day locked inside, arguing about what to do next. Kayla wanted to go to the police. Miles said we didn't have enough to report. Reese wanted to cut the trip short entirely and just go home. I agreed. I was done pretending this wasn't real. But we never got the chance to leave. That evening, around 5:30 p.m., we heard a knock on the door. Not a loud one, just 2 quick, dry taps. Kayla looked through the peephole. She went pale and backed away without a word. Reese moved past her and looked himself. He cursed under his breath. I took a turn. It was a cop, or someone dressed like one. Black jacket, no badge, no name tag, just a patch that looked handmade, stitched letters, slightly crooked. His belt had a flashlight and what might have been a taser. No gun, no radio. He knocked again, 2 taps. Then he spoke. "Good evening. We've had some reports of suspicious activity in the neighborhood. Mind if I come in to ask a few questions?" His tone was calm, friendly, even, but something was off. He hadn't asked for a specific person, didn't even confirm the address. He didn't try the door, he just stood there. I whispered, "That's not a real cop." No one responded. We were frozen. The man outside tapped the glass on the door with the butt of his flashlight. Reese moved quietly to the back of the house and peeked through the blinds. Then he whispered, "There's another guy at the back door." We didn't have a plan, no weapons, no exit. Kayla pulled out her phone and dialed 911, but the call wouldn't go through. Just silence, not even a ring. We were cut off. Reese picked up a lamp, holding it like a club. Miles grabbed a kitchen knife. I locked eyes with Kayla. She was shaking. Another knock, this time from the back. Then the front door guy spoke again. "We just need a quick word. No need for this to get difficult." That's when the power went out. All at once. The lights, the fridge, the AC hum. Gone. We ran. Through the garage, which was miraculously unlocked. The button to open the garage door didn't work, obviously. No power. Reese ran to the manual release cord and yanked it down. The door creaked up, heavy, slow. As it reached halfway, we ducked under and sprinted to the car. The others piled in while I ran around to the driver's seat. We didn't see where the fake cop went, or the guy in the back. We just drove. Didn't stop for gas, didn't talk. When we got to Kayla's cousin's place in Glendale, she was already outside waiting, confused, barefoot in her driveway. She hadn't heard from us since the day before. And then she said something that made my chest go cold. "Some guy came by earlier, said he was a friend of yours, asked if you were here, tall, beard, kind of pale, said his name was Oliver. We don't know anyone named Oliver." We stayed inside her house all night, door locked, curtains drawn. The next morning, I checked my phone again. Still no service. Kayla's cousin offered to let us use her Wi-Fi. When we connected, I checked my email. And there it was. A message with no sender, no subject. Just a single sentence. "Next time, don't run." We left Los Angeles the next morning without saying goodbye. No beach detour, no celebratory in-and-out stop. Just the freeway, northbound, silent, tense. Reese drove. Kayla stared out the window. Miles had his earbuds in but didn't play anything. We didn't talk about the message, the one that showed up in my inbox with no sender, no IP, no reply option. We just knew. Someone, or something, had chosen us, and it didn't care if we understood why. By the time we made it back to Orange County, we were running on fumes, emotionally and literally. We pulled into my parents' driveway just after dark. We didn't hug, didn't even say much. They all went home, and I stood there for a long time in the driveway, looking at our dusty car and wondering if this was the kind of memory that fades, or the kind that finds ways to repeat. That night, I tried to sleep in my old room, posters still on the wall, graduation cap on the desk. Felt like childhood was still breathing in the corners. But I kept thinking about the zip tie, the man on the sidewalk, the SUV that changed colors, the fake cop, the other guy who never spoke, the blinking red lights in the woods. It was too much to be coincidence, and too quiet to be madness. 2 nights later, I got a text, no name, no number. "Do you remember the tree?" I deleted it immediately, powered off my phone, tried to move on. But the next morning, it came again. It's still marked. This time with a photo. Blurry, zoomed in, but I recognized the shape. The tree where Miles had hung our food bag that night. The one with the orange zip tie snapped in half. Only now, it was carved. Letters, initials, ours. L, R, K, M. I stopped sleeping after that. Every sound outside made me check the blinds. Every time a car slowed down in front of the house, I flinched. I couldn't explain any of it without sounding insane. My parents would have chalked it up to graduation anxiety, stress, post-trip fatigue, all those polite words for "we don't believe you." So I didn't tell them. I didn't tell anyone. Until the night I saw it again. Not the SUV. Something worse. It was around 1:40 a.m. I'd just finished brushing my teeth, the house dark except for the hallway light. I passed by my bedroom window and saw something on the lawn. At first, it looked like a bundle, maybe trash, a backpack, something a dog dragged up. But then it shifted. Stood. It was a man, standing on the edge of our yard, backlit by the street lamp. Same build, same beard, same posture. Still. patient, watching. No attempt to approach, no movement at all. Just presence. I closed the curtains and locked the window, even though it was already locked. Sat on my bed with my back to the wall and waited. 10 minutes, 20, an hour. Eventually, I looked again. He was gone. But something had been left behind, taped to the window glass. It was a piece of paper. Plain, white. I waited until sunrise to open the window and take it. One word, handwritten, perfect capital letters. Running. That day, I started researching. Not just forums, but newspapers, local cases, missing persons, surveillance leaks, anything I could find about similar stories. And slowly, I found fragments. A Reddit thread about an unmarked black SUV spotted outside a small motel in Utah after graduation week. 3 seniors disappeared that night. A blog post from 2013 about a man in Oregon who claimed to have been followed from Crater Lake by people who mimicked law enforcement but never left a trace. A podcast episode about an Appalachian campground where someone carved initials into trees before campers went missing. None of it was proof, but all of it felt familiar. I called Reese a week later. He didn't pick up. Tried Miles. Number disconnected. I finally got a hold of Kayla. Her voice cracked like she hadn't spoken in days. She said they'd all been getting messages. Not just texts, notes on their cars, emailed photos of them sleeping, taken from their second-floor windows. One of them showed a reflection in the glass. A face none of us recognized. She said Reese left town. Miles stopped responding. She asked me if I remembered the name Oliver. I lied and said no. That was the last time we spoke. It's been 7 years since that trip. I've changed my number 4 times. I don't use GPS anymore unless I absolutely have to. I drive different routes home every night. I never take side roads, never ignore private property signs, never leave my curtains open after sunset. And even now, after all this time, every so often, I see one. Just for a second. At a gas station. In a grocery store aisle. Parked a few spots away from my car. No badge. No smile. Just a figure, watching. Not following. Not approaching. Just there. Waiting. And every time, I remember something Reese said in the car, back when we still thought it would all be over by the time we got home. He said, "What if we didn't find them? What if they found us?" I used to think that was just fear talking. But now I think we were part of something. A game. A ritual. A test. And the worst part is, I don't think it's over. I think we passed. And I think they're just waiting for the day they call us back.